Gospel according to Matthew.
Jesus began to show his disciples that he must go to Jerusalem and suffer greatly from the elders, the chief priests, and the scribes, and be killed on the third day, be raised.
God forbid, Lord! Nothing like that will ever happen to you.
Get behind me, Satan. You're an obstacle to me. You're thinking not as God does, but as human beings do. Whoever wishes to come after me must deny themselves and take up their cross and follow me. For whoever wishes to save their life will actually lose it. But whoever loses their life for my sake will find it. What profit would there be for you for one to gain the whole world, but to lose your life? Or what can one give in exchange for your life? For the Son of Man will come with his angels in God's glory, and then he will repay all according to their conduct. The Gospel of the Lord. Praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ.
There's a saying that says, one door closes, another door opens. But in between there's a hallway. And to me, the cross is the hallway between that thing that we're trying to get through. Our alcoholism, or perhaps sickness, a divorce. And the other door opening is what we become through the process, who we are after having gone through them. So therefore, when I hear this gospel, what I'm hearing is the process. This gospel is a joyous invitation to life with Jesus Christ.
Wait. I hear what you're saying about joyful invitation and all that. But don't pretend that this cross business is easy. When Jesus took up the cross, he took it up and he fell over and over and over again. And then when he reached the top of this giant hill he was climbing, they took him and they nailed him to the cross. And then he died there. This isn't easy, and I know he came back to life and everything was made better and it was joyful and transforming, but actually carrying the cross is a horrible experience. You can't ignore that. So don't pretend it's something easy, it's something light. Carrying the cross is hard, deadly, dangerous business. And pretending anything else is just false advertising. So take up your cross and go to San Francisco and live in the streets and serve those who live in the streets. But don't forget that on those same streets are drug dealers and thieves, people who will abuse you and take advantage of you and curse you and ridicule you. Don't forget, take up your cross, minister to the abused or the lost or the lonely or the confused. But don't forget that you may never know financial security. You may never be able to pay for your kids' college education. Take up your cross, become a priest. But don't forget the pain of living without a wife, or a lover, or a partner, or a family.
So easy for me. It's a mix. I have to say the first thing, and it's a sign of what a mix it is that I thought of, was, historically the most important name among professional clowns is Joseph Grimaldi. Now, Grimaldi lived in the early part of the 19th century, and every clown for 150 years...
Sacrilege!
What? Oh, there are people who don't...
Bring shame on the Americans in the church!
Now, you may think that's part of the routine, but it's not. If people feel that, just let us know. But I think we're trying to share the gospel. And I think Jesus got yelled at a few times too. But Grimaldi set the standard for clowns. In fact, Charles Dickens wrote his life. And on one occasion, when the circus was visiting a small English town, a local doctor came up with a novel remedy. A man came into him with severe depression. In fact, the doctor reported later on the depression was so deep and painful the man couldn't even lift his head. And he came up with a different kind of prescription. He said, the circus is in town. The doctor said, I went to the circus last night, and I watched Grimaldi perform, and he is a delight. And he'll make you laugh, he'll lift your spirits. You go to the circus tonight and just watch Grimaldi the whole time. And at that point, the patient raised his head slowly and painfully and said, but doctor, I'm Grimaldi. That's a true story. It reminds me of taking up our cross. Because Jesus says, take up your cross, and we say things like what he was telling us. It's joyous, it's hopeful. But as Peter told us, we painfully raise our heads at times and say, but it's still a cross. Let me point this out to you. I don't think that when Jesus talked about taking up his cross, he was talking about our pain and our suffering. We talk about having to carry the cross, and we think of our headaches, our heartaches, our disappointments, our hard times, and we say you have to carry your cross, you have to put up with it. Well, Jesus' language is more active. He doesn't say put up with your cross, he says take up that cross. And I think he's talking about the kind of things Peter was referring to. He's talking about taking up the cross of hurt and pain around us. Not our pain, but take up our cross of the rest of the world. The cross of people in our society and our planet. A few examples. This weekend we're celebrating Labor Day, and the issues around Labor Day. Security for working people, treatment of immigrants, like people like my parents and your grandparents and your great-grandparents, adequate health care, fair wages, maybe even for baseball players. In the last century, the union movement was the concrete response to that. Today, because of prosperity, because of its success, because of corruption and abuse, because of different needs, there's mixed feelings about the union movement. But the issues of justice and security for everybody, that's a cross that we have to take up.